It was rightly stated by Justice Joseph Bradley: law is the bond of the society, that which makes it, that which preserves it, that which keeps it together. In fact, law is the essence of every civilized society. Greetings to one and all present here. Standing here today, I see a room full of inquisitive minds gathered here to debate on the issue that it is not law, but in fact people on the ground who protect the environment, and I shall be speaking against the motion. But before I start, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take all of you for a stroll down the memory lane. Let's go back to the year 1879. Commercial whaling is on its peak. Whale oil is one of the most important source of fuel for millions of households. On the other hand, the whale population is decreasing massively with every passing year, and scientists and activists are fighting tooth and nail to stop it. Then comes the year 1880 and Thomas Alva Edison launches the Edison Electric Company, which provides an alternate source of energy to the world. Now, technically, commercial whaling should have stopped here. But the fact of the matter is that commercial whaling did not see any substantive reduction until the year 1986, when the International Whaling Commission put a permanent ban on commercial whaling. Ladies and gentlemen, this is one of the many examples from the past where a strong legislation has helped us to protect the environment. Honorable Chair, today I will be putting forth 4 major arguments in support of my case. My very first contention is a strong legislation is a result of proper strategies and expert opinions which make it highly efficient. Allow me to quote the example on the efficacies of laws in protecting environment by taking the example of our own country. We all must have heard about Project Tiger as one of the most successful wildlife protection programs across the globe. Ladies and gentlemen, in the year 1972, the total population of the majestic Indian cat had dropped to just 1800. However, as of 2022, we have 4,000 tigers in India, and that, everyone, is a growth rate of 6.1% per year. Ladies and gentlemen, the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972 laid down the groundwork for the success of Project Tiger and for tiger conservation in India. One of the other assets of a proper legislation is its ability to keep on changing as the problem keeps on evolving. The Wildlife Protection Act of 1972 has gone through several changes as to tackle the problem-centric issues. We have created critical tiger habitats, the Tiger Task Force, the Tiger Conservation Authority, and all of these came as per amendments in the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. Honorable Chair, my second contention is the limitation of the impact of these people movements which are not backed by legislation. See, the issue with the argument that it is not people but law, it is not law but people on the ground who protect the environment is the nature of the issue itself. The nature of the environmental issues are as such that they affect us on the macro level. And these movements, however effective in spreading awareness, they do not have any tangible, substantial effect on the macro level. Let's take the example of the Fridays for Future movement launched by Greta Thunberg. This is a movement that got global appreciation and global recognition, but if I stand here today and ask my honorable opponents to count me one substantial effect on the environment, they shall have no answer. On the other hand, let's talk about the ozone layer depletion crisis. In the 1970s, scientists discovered that the ozone layer is being depleted by ozone depleting substances which were being produced across the globe. This resulted in the creation of the Vienna Convention for the Protection of the Ozone Layer in 1985 and then the Montreal Protocol in 1989. Ladies and gentlemen, the Montreal Protocol mandated developing and developed nations to stop the production of ozone depleting substances, and ladies and gentlemen, today, as we know, ozone layer depletion is at all-time low. My third contention is the inability of the people on the ground to force private corporations to pay their dues to the environment. Ladies and gentlemen, the Corporate Social Responsibility Policy Rule of 2016 and the Companies Act of 2013 mandates the CSR committee to put forth 2% of their net profit towards corporate social responsibility. And ladies and gentlemen, corporate social responsibility also includes their environmental social responsibility towards the environment. We have also concepts such as the Environment Assessment Plan that was given by the Environmental Protection Act 1985 and Obviously, the absolute liability doctrine given by the MC Mehta versus Union of India case. It was once stated by Thomas Hobbes that a covenant without swords is nothing but mere words. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the basis of my fourth and my final argument. In the case of Indian Council for Enviro Legal Action versus Union of India, there were 5 factories that were producing industrial acids and they were disposing their toxic waste without adhering to the regulations of the government. Ladies and gentlemen, the court not only ordered the foreclosure of all these 5 factories, but they also put damages up to rupees 4 crores to reinvent the ecology of the area. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how. This is how a well-established legislation with sanctions help to create a deterrent effect that is far beyond the reach of the common people. As we reach to the end of my allotted time, I shall take a moment to remember Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill once famously said, "To try to be safe everywhere means to be powerful nowhere." And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the real truth behind the motion at hand. Stating that it is not law but people on the ground that protect the environment is nothing but the government waiving of their responsibility under the DPSP of our constitution to protect the environment. And we shall not submit to this kind of a narrative. This narrative is dangerous, ladies and gentlemen. As citizens of our country, it is our responsibility to hold our government responsible to protect the environment. Ladies and gentlemen, we are far from environment protection, as we claim that we are very effective in that, but we are far from it. It is time that we stop only caring about GDP, that is the gross domestic product, but we need to come up with the concept of GEP, that is the gross environmental product of this country, ladies and gentlemen, and that cannot be done without substantive and strong legislation from our country. Thank you so much.
I encourage students other than Madhu and Ms. Joshi to also ask some questions. I mean, it doesn't preclude you from asking questions, but you're giving an advantage to him. I'm telling all the debaters that if you don't ask questions, you're giving an advantage to him, but he gets the advantage. So, okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much.
Oh, there is a hand.
Okay.
Yeah.
When we revere laws so much while implementing environmental safeguards, we fail to recognize the failure of law to do the same, especially in a country like India. As you mentioned, so many judicial precedents that have acted as a safeguard to protect the environment. We see pendency of so many cases. Even the Wildlife Protection Act, Environment Protection Act, even the case of MC Mehta versus India came before the court after such a long period of time. In a crisis in such a critical situation, such as a climate crisis, we do not need a delayed response. Law always creates delay, especially in a country like India. So how can law cater to such a situation?
Thank you for your question. The thing is, law does not create delay. Law gives a fair chance of justice to everyone, first of all. Secondly, when we talk about this question, the whole discussion comes back to the problem that the issue here is not people going and implementing the laws. It is implementation versus what people do for the environment. And ladies and gentlemen, my case is crystal clear. We should not let the government waive off its onus to protect the environment, and the protection of environment includes making of the legislation, the legislature, the implementation of the laws, the executive, and the protection of the laws, the judiciary. If we simply say that it is to the people to protect their environment and protect to the laws, that is fine, they can do that. But we should not waive off the responsibility of the government, and we should understand the quintessential effect of a law at hand. Let's take an example. If we all are aware that the condition of women protection in India is deteriorating at hand. So will you say that we are done with the government and now we should take care of it and we should carry weapons to fight it off? You can do that, but the thing is you will not let the government off the hook. And that is the point here, ladies and gentlemen. The accountability falls on the government because laws are impartial. If the government does not prove to give proper accountability, proper implementation, the judiciary is not able to protect it, it is not on the people to do that. People can protect their local environment, but at the macro level, as also mentioned in Article 48 of the Constitution, the DPSP, it is a responsibility of the government to do that, ladies and gentlemen. And
Okay.
okay.
And now we have a plethora of hands. Yes, sir. You have not asked a question so far. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Pratham Awasthi. I'm from Chanakya Law College. If are you comfortable in Hindi, may I ask the question in Hindi?
Sure, sure. No issues.
आप विषय के अगेंस्ट में हैं. आप कह रहे हैं कि कानून ही है जिनके कारण पर्यावरण को सुरक्षित किया जा सकता है. ठीक है. तो अभी हमने दिल्ली के प्रदूषण स्तर को देखा. तो जब हम दिल्ली के प्रदूषण स्तर को देखते हैं और दिल्ली सरकार और यहाँ तक कि जितने एनजीओज हैं सब ये कहते हैं कि हमें दिवाली पर पटाखे नहीं जलाने हैं. ठीक है. उसके बाद भी दिल्ली में पटाखे जलाए जाते हैं. कानूनों को बुरी तरीके से अपमानित किया जाता है दिल्ली के अंदर. और हम ये समझते हैं कि दिल्ली और बेंगलोर जैसे जो शहर हैं उसमें भारत के सबसे शिक्षित लोग रहते हैं. तो जब हमारे देश का कानून दिल्ली और बेंगलोर जैसे शहरों में इम्प्लीमेंट नहीं हो पा रहा है तो हम अन्य क्षेत्रों में कैसे उसे इम्प्लीमेंट करेंगे? आपका इस पे क्या स्टैंड है?
एक मिनट ऐसा करते हैं. Let us take all the questions because your time may run out. One sec. Anybody else other than these two? Okay, नहीं तुम्हारा चलो ना Miss Joshi and then Madhu. Yeah. Quick questions. No comments, only questions because he has only 5 minutes.
So how can we say that laws protect when they intervene only after the destruction has already happened? Just like the example of the oleum gas tragedy, when thousands of lives were lost in Bhopal, then the laws were strengthened. How would you reply to that?
Yes, Madhu.
My question is simple and concise. You mentioned Thomas Hobbes, right? So he wanted a government where the people do not revolt. So he wanted an authoritarian government. So is that the kind of government you're trying to propagate where people do not question laws? That is.
Yes.
Hello. So I'll answer it one by one as far as I can remember the questions. So first is about the Delhi and the firecrackers. When we talk about implementation, I'm not requiring the Delhi government to go with each and every household and stop them from busting crackers. But where are these crackers coming from? Are they making it them at their home? No, they're buying it from the market. The implementation should be at that level. Why are firecrackers being sold in Delhi? First thing. Secondly, as to Thomas Hobbes wanted an autocratic regime, but that's taking the concept that law is important to very extreme sense. But law without a proper sanction does not have a deterrent effect, especially in a country like ourselves. We have a civic duty to clean our environment. We have a civic duty to clean our surroundings. But until unless the Swachh Bharat campaign was managed and a lot of people, lot of investment gone there, we did not see any significant impact. It is the civic duty of the people. But again, that's what I'm saying. If the people are not doing their civic duty, again, the onus falls on the government to make sure that they do everything in their power to protect the environment.
Her question was regarding laws being formed after the event has taken place. She referred to the Bhopal gas tragedy.
Laws work in that fashion, that is true. But even that tragedy that you are talking about, will the people on the ground able to protect that gas leak going inside the factory? They didn't know that that gas leak was going to happen. But the point is that strong laws will create a deterrent next time that any factory chooses to disregard regulations. Let's take the example of Bhopal gas tragedy. We all know that many people died there. There are still effects of the tragedy seen in the city. But the point is, after all the settlements, after all the money, after all the reparations, the owner of the factory fled the country. There was huge outrage from the people. But because the government wanted that person to get out of this country, he did. Again, as I said, the onus falls on the government, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.